So House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 1. I will preface by saying I am not someone who has read the text, but I have come across spoilers doing research for this show, as well as Game of Thrones in the past. But I will do this as somebody who is just watching the show to keep everything spoiler free. Let's start right with the brand new intro. I think this intro is actually done beautifully. If you follow Game of Thrones Facts on Twitter, they did a beautiful breakdown of all the imagery. They have a thread on their page. I would definitely encourage you to go check it out. Just as they did with Season 1, I feel like they did an amazing job starting off Season 2. I think it was very poetic in the way that they did it. Season 1 starts with Rhaenyra flying into King's Landing on Syrax, and Season 2 starts with a raven flying into Winterfell. I think this is very symbolic of the Song of Ice and Fire, as in Season 1, we have a dragon flying into King's Landing, and in Season 2, we have a raven flying into Winterfell. I think they did that beautifully. It's a good blend of nostalgia and also just giving us that fresh new look of the time period that we're in. But we start in the north in Winterfell, in a place that we know and love, the home of the Starks. And Jacaerys is sent here to talk to Cregan Stark in hopes to get him to ally with him and his mother for their cause. This was also beautiful, just seeing the wall again, watching the dialogue between them. Cregan Stark does say he has men that will fight for Jacaerys, but then all of a sudden we get the news from Dragonstone. Next we have Rhaenys flying into Dragonstone on Meleys. Seeing Meleys fly through the mountains and into the dragon's driveway was really cool. Daemon is here waiting for her. And this was really cool to see the interaction between Daemon and Rhaenys. And you kind of see where they conflict and kind of where they stand in all of this. Daemon tries to convince her that it's go time and he wants to go right now to kill Vhagar and he would need her help to do it. But then you see Rhaenys kind of have some pushback towards Daemon, telling him that he's not the king, so she will not take orders from him. You can see in this scene that Daemon is really anxious. He feels like he needs to do something. He feels like there's something he should do, and he's trying to take action without disrespecting Rhaenyra. Rhaenys explains that she's going through grief. You can see from his actions that Daemon really loves Rhaenyra, and he's really trying his best to kind of be that hero for her, but also respect her at the same time. These scenes of Rhaenyra looking for Luke are probably some of my favorite in the episode. I honestly was waiting for them to show more of just Dragon and Dragon Rider personalities and the way they interact, and I think they absolutely nailed it with this, and I'm happy that they started doing it this season. The imagery in these scenes were just beautiful. The grief and the acting by Emma Darcy was phenomenal. Getting to see Syrax kind of move about and just different things and showcase Syrax's personality was extremely cool. It really made the death of Lucerys kind of just sink in for the viewer. Then next we have Corlys Velaryon, and you kind of see that he's damaged, and it's symbolic that it shows his ship and how his ship needs repairs, because I feel like that's kind of where he is in his life right now. That he's obviously been hurt, he's damaged. He's not the same as he once was, and he's trying to just maintain through everything that's going on. He finds out that Lucerys' dagger has been found, indicating that his heir to Driftmark has now officially passed. Then he explains to Alan how he's indebted to him and that he owes him. Back to King's Landing we go. As many scenes, I think this scene was done beautifully as well. You get to see the Scorpions mounting on King's Landing. You see Vhagar patrolling, protecting the city. King Aegon then has a chat with Helaena as he's looking for his son because he wants to bring his son to the council. Notice Aegon says that they would be fools trying to come to King's Landing with Vhagar protecting and patrolling the city. Helaena responds that she's not scared of the dragon, she's scared of the rats. Once again, this is kind of showing her prophetic vision and the way she's able to see things before they happen. After that, we see Alicent Hightower and Kristen Cole enjoying a munchie meal. In the next scene, we have Aegon starting to give us Joffrey vibes again, but we also see that he's kind of funny and also has a little bit of a sense of humor. Alicent then asks if Rhaenyra has apologized for them killing her son. We get to see Aegon's son Jaehaerys. We see Jaehaerys be a little bit of a nuisance at the council. We see Aemon then enter the council, and he's really just focused on war. He comes in right away just establishing war plans and showing that he's in go mode. If it was up to Aegon and Aemon, they would just hop on their dragons and burn everything down. Then we see Alicent scrubbing herself because she feels disgusting. This next scene is probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire episode. From just the visuals to the raw emotion to the acting to the way it was done, I think it was done beautifully. We have Rhaenyra and Syrax stumble upon Luke and Arrax's remains, and this scene really just hit the heart and hit the feels, and Rhaenyra finally got her closure about Luke's death. From the way that Syrax lands on the beach like an absolute boss, to the way Rhaenyra hops off Syrax also like an absolute boss. This goes back to what I was saying before of showcasing the dragons, the dragon riders, their interactions and their personalities and emotions. And Syrax is honestly such a beauty. And in this scene, Syrax and Rhaenyra are both mourning the loss of a child. Then we have some more politicking as Aegon tries to fulfill his duty as king, where you also get to see his sense of humor and Otto question him and try to correct him on everything that he does. Then we have Daemon stumble across his old friend Mysaria, and they have a very interesting conversation. And all of my favorite scenes in this episode honestly consist of Rhaenyra. After confirming Luke's death, Rhaenyra then returns to Dragonstone. And you can tell the tone here is completely different now. It's kind of like we reached a point where everything from here on out has changed. As Rhaenyra enters the room distraught, her council then starts talking about the plans that they have to take action. And after everyone is talking, she says one sentence: "I want Aemon Targaryen." And then the look that Daemon gives Rhaenyra as she leaves the room could speak 1,000 words or none at all. Daemon then has another interesting conversation with Mysaria. This scene was probably one of my favorite in the franchise, not even just the episode. Jace returns and he's reporting back to Rhaenyra after receiving news that his brother Luke has passed. And as he's giving her report, he can't help but break down in tears. Rhaenyra does not even say a word, and she just gets up with tears in her eyes as well and just hugs Jace. And this was one of those scenes. It was very Game of Thrones-esque. It was very emotional, very heartfelt. It was one of those scenes that really just made you feel what was going on. It then cut to a dual scene of Luke's funeral and also Alicent lighting candles, both in remembrance of the people that they have lost so far. We then get none other than the return of Hoodie Daemon. We then have some more politicking with Aemon Targaryen and Criston Cole, and we see that they both have different visions for the war and different ambitions fueling them. Otto then decides to join the party and give his unsolicited opinion as he always does. And finally, we have the infamous blood and cheese scene. From the little knowledge that I do have, I can understand why book readers are disappointed with this scene, but personally, I think that they did it really well. While it seems that nobody was guarding the castle and everyone had their own agenda going on that night, Blood and Cheese, while looking for Aemon, happened to stumble upon Helena's room. Unable to find Aemon, they're still looking for a son, and they decide to take Jaehaerys, who is the heir to the throne and Aegon's son. Helena, unbelievably traumatized, takes her daughter and runs immediately to the queen's room. And trembling in fear, she stumbles across her mother, shagging Criston Cole. And then that is the end of episode 1. Tell me some of your opinions on the episode in the comments, and I'll see you guys next week.